Thank you very much, Dr. Waldner, Dr. Delicarpini, Mr. Case, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Albright, Ms. Mantegna, Reverend Hare, Father Tancredi, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, family members, and of course, graduates. Let me be among the very first to congratulate the members of York College's graduating class of 2012. This is indeed a momentous occasion. You and your families, your professors, friends, and all of us here are proud of your accomplishments, and we celebrate the hard work and the determination that allowed you to achieve this accomplishment. I'm very grateful for this distinction, this honor that you've given me, and I'm very grateful for the invitation to speak with you today, especially given the well-known fact of my challenges in the category of public speaking. I will give you a quick story which will diminish any expectations you might have about my address today. I, as you heard, have 3 young children, and the eldest is my daughter. When she was 7 years old in the 2nd grade, the school that she attended has a policy of inviting parents to come in and speak to the class about what they do for a living. So being the dutiful father that I am, on the appointed day, I showed up at the 2nd grade class. I stood up in front of 25 7-year-olds and explained exactly what I did as the president and CEO of the Club for Growth, a national political advocacy organization dedicated to free enterprise and creating economic wealth through limited government. Now, I thought I'd done a pretty good job. And when I finished, a little girl walks up to me. She stands right next to me. She looks up and she says, "Mr. Toomey?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I just want you to know that's the worst speech I ever heard in my entire life." Now, my daughter was standing right next to us, and she overheard this, and she looked up at me and she said, "Daddy, don't listen to a word she says. She just repeats whatever all the other kids are saying." Okay? So, now that I have hopefully set a more appropriate level of expectations, let me nevertheless share with you some thoughts. I'm aware, of course, of the fact that the future for the members of this graduating class include a very wide range of endeavors. Some of you are going off to military service to our country, and to those of you who choose this path, I commend you, and I thank you for the service that you're going to provide to all of us. Others of you will pursue a career in further education, some in nursing. Some of you will pursue jobs and careers in business. For many of you, no doubt, this is proving to be a tough time to start out. We do face an uncertain future, but in these difficult times, I certainly hope that you all remain as confident about the future of this great country and the opportunities that will be available to you as I am. Sure, we face significant challenges. We read about it every day. There's an ongoing war, turmoil in the Middle East, huge budget deficits, economic weakness especially. But I'm convinced that most of these problems, especially the fiscal and economic ones, have been caused by policy mistakes, and these mistakes can be corrected. In time, and I hope it's short time, the American people, through this clunky, awkward, and occasionally dysfunctional democratic system of ours, will eventually prevail, and they will require the political class and the policymakers to fix what is broken. And when we do that, the native industry, innovation, and spirit of the American people will restore the stability and prosperity that we all deserve. Now, why am I confident that we will reasonably soon solve the big challenges holding us back today? Well, I guess I agree with Winston Churchill's famous observation about all of us when he said, "You can always count on the Americans to get it right after they've exhausted every other possible option." But seriously, you know, when you think about the great challenges that Americans have faced in their past, the challenges of today seem so manageable by comparison. In the late 18th century, a small group of men met about 100 miles from here in Philadelphia and took the really extraordinary decision to separate from what was then the greatest power on the planet At great personal risk and creating great peril for their fledgling country, they engaged in a war to establish a new and free and independent country. Imagine the anxiety and the uncertainty that they and their fellow countrymen faced in that enormous challenge. In the 19th century, we of course were racked by the most excruciating experience in the history of the Republic, the great Civil War that divided North and South, slave and free, father and son. It split the nation and nearly brought an end to this great experiment. But in the end, America survived, and our devastated country was reunited, and we became a better country, and our success as a nation even accelerated. During the 20th century, our great threats were external. 3 times we faced potentially existential threats. Twice they were great, devastating, worldwide shooting wars. Once it played out in a long Cold War. But all 3 times the United States rose to the challenge of liberating our friends and our allies around the world from the mortal threats and tyrannies of fascism, Nazism, and communism. So when I think of the challenges we face in the 21st century, self-inflicted problems with our budget deficits, our excessive spending, and other misguided policies, I can't help but think that these political problems can be solved because the American people have solved so much greater problems so many times in the past. I certainly hope you agree with me that despite the challenges we face today, America's future is quite bright. But I hope you also agree with the reason that the future of America is bright. And I think at the heart of that reason is the idea of American exceptionalism. It's our exceptionalism that will propel us to a great future. Now, I know there are some people who snicker at that term. There are those who never believed in American exceptionalism, and others still who think that maybe we were once exceptional, but we no longer are. Well, I still believe in American exceptionalism. I believe that Alex de Tocqueville, the Frenchman who first coined the phrase in 1831, was right when he described Americans as an exceptional people. I think it's still true today. I hope you agree, and I urge you today to keep it so, to retain this wonderful, remarkable, uniquely American tradition and characteristic. I hope you will, because it's our very exceptionalism that will enable us to solve today's challenges and create the innumerable wonderful opportunities tomorrow that today we can't even imagine. So what do I mean by American exceptionalism? Well, several things. The first aspect of our exceptionalism arises from our founding. We were the first new nation created by a separation and founded not on the basis of a race or a religion or an ethnicity or even so much a physical location as we were founded on the basis of an idea.